My story begins in the mid 1980s. I came to Chapel Hill to go to the university. Um, really liked the area because I grew up in a very rural part of the state. Um, yes, I really liked the Chapel Hill area, so I decided to hang around. Um, Wound up getting jobs in the restaurant industry, which is fun but challenging. But once again, those aren't jobs that pay really big bucks. Um, so in 1991, I got an apartment out on Highway 54. It's called Kingswood Apartments, one of the many apartment complexes out on Highway 54. Enjoyed apartment life. Had a lot of buddies. Would all hang out and do stuff. Um, it was convenient to go over to campus and all that stuff. So I wound up living in that same apartment complex for 19 years, which always stuns people that you can stay in like an apartment. It was two different apartments, but in the same complex for a total of 19 years. Um, about a decade in, the whole apartment experience started to get kind of old. There was nothing wrong with it except for the fact that it wasn't my place. I always knew in the back of my mind that it belonged to someone else. I could never modify or change the place because I knew at some point that I'd be leaving, and that anything that I put up on the walls, I'd have to take down on the walls. Any holes that I put in the walls, I'd have to patch up. Um, as far as painting and changing the color to make it fit my personality, I just didn't feel like I had the green light to do so. So I started looking into maybe finding a house around town, and I was shocked to find out how much or how expensive that real estate in the Chapel Hill Carborough area was. I mean, really shocked. Um, so at that point, I kind of said, well, I guess it's just not going to happen for me. So I continued on living in the apartment, but over time, the feeling just wasn't there anymore. So I wanted something different. So I actually got up with a real estate agent and started looking at properties in the area. And she was showing me several different little things around town. I was like, yeah, this is all right. I could see myself in this. And I can't remember how, but I was on one of her websites, and there was a little link to Community Home Trust. So I looked at it and said, that sounds interesting. Sounds almost too good to be true. But I'll give them a call. I gave them a call, talked to them, and just was really shocked and amazed that there was something like that out there. Um, they had me come by, um, looked at all my financial information, said, you're definitely qualified to be one of our clients. Um, so they brought me in. They wanted to show me some properties. The very first property they showed me was this Greenbridge condominium, which had just opened like maybe like a month prior to that. So there's still construction going on. I was looking, this is pretty nice. I love the location. It's located like basically like 3 blocks from where I work. Um, I guess like actually the capper was there. There's actually like a gym located upstairs, and I was where I am. I really like to work out, and I was like, man, this is like the coolest thing ever. So I was like, yeah, if you guys can get me into this, I'd love to be here. And like a month later, they said, hey, when do you want to get in? We're ready to close, and that was it. And been happy ever since. I've been able to turn this into me. Um, the way I've done a little painting. I've got my color schemes going on the wall. Got my certain pictures on the wall. I'm a big UNC fan. I go to all the UNC football games. I've taken one room and turned it into a UNC room specifically. Everything in there it either has something to do with UNC basketball, UNC football. I collected old artifacts, and I know I don't have to change it because I'm going to be here a while. And like I said, I put a lot of holes in the walls over the past 5 years. but that's okay too. And like I say, the fact that I work just right down the street at the end of a long day when I'm like really tired and just like want to go home. Unlike a lot of people have to deal with drive time traffic and uh, a lot of other hang-ups in the triangle. I walk out the door, 10 minutes later I'm at the house, have a nice little pleasant walk on the way, see a lot of the same people every day on the way home, and surplus Sid always says, how's it going, that kind of thing. So it's really cool. That definitely makes it homey. It is a satisfying feeling. Like I said, with renting, I always knew my money was going to someone else. Um, and in some cases that's fine, but at the end of the day, it's much more fulfilling to actually say you own something. It's an experience I wouldn't trade. Like I said, I grew up in a community. Like I said, it was a rural community, but I think like all the people I knew in the community like owned their own homes. Like I grew up like my parents in our house, so it was something I grew up in, and I always assumed I would be a part of that. And then I said there was a while there I was like maybe I will not be just because of how expensive it is to live in this area. But all that's changed, and I'm happy about it. I went to a real estate agent. We talked, and first of all, they want to find out your range. What can you afford? Um, um, and from there, they start showing you things in your price area. So I looked at some condos in the area. They were, like I said, once again kind of expensive. As far as like the single family homes go, even even what you might call a dilapidated house in this area is pretty darn expensive. The neighborhoods weren't the safest neighborhoods. I wasn't a fan of it. Some of them required a good bit of fix up. Like I said, I wasn't looking forward to that. The thing about a community home trust, they put me in a building that was literally brand new. The construction hadn't even been completed in several areas in the building. So it was a pleasant. The whole process. It wasn't like pulling teeth, but it wasn't the most enjoyable thing either. Cause I'm like I know what I like, and so I felt like in a way I might have to settle while I was going through. I was like, yeah, this is okay. This is just not me. But then I found something that was me, so that was cool. It's definitely an issue because I know a lot of people who live in this community. I mean, who work in this community. That is, if they're not affiliated with particularly university as far as teaching or some of the upper end jobs in this community. It's hard to work and live in this community. And like I said, I've been working in this community now for over 25 years. And I know a lot of people who wind up moving down to Pittsboro or up to Hillsboro. And like I said, at the end of the day, they have a long commute. Anytime there's inclement weather, it's a problem for them getting into work. And I know they all would love to live closer to where they work. But that's a big problem just because most of the jobs I call like the backbone of the community. Most of those jobs aren't high-paying jobs. Because oddly enough, because I cook for a living, people call me a chef. I wouldn't call myself a chef. I do surprisingly very little cooking at home. I love most of all is probably the microwave. I come in every day and I throw something in the microwave. I will use the stove every blue moon, but seems kind of odd because I guess people expect me to come home and fix extravagant meals, but why would I fix an extravagant meal when I've been fixing extravagant meals for hundreds of people a day? So, yeah, if I didn't have a microwave, I'd probably starve, but that's such is life. I guess the thing I enjoy having here, anyone who knows me knows I'm a big fan of Pepsi. Hate Coca-Cola. I would drink. I go to a restaurant. I always say, what beverages do you have? And they also we're a Coke restaurant. I always say, give me water. So as you can see, I have my nice Pepsi, my Pepsi poster here and my Pepsi calendar. So gotta have Pepsi or you just don't drink. I will go to UNC room. And this room is kind of my shrine to UNC athletics. Everyone who knows me knows I go to like every UNC home football game and most of the away games. I had one stretch of like 6 years where I didn't miss a single game. So I've got one nice wall here that's devoted to nothing but UNC football. Nice picture of all-time great Charlie Justice, all-time great Lawrence Taylor, and oddly enough, this guy James Thompson, who probably no one knows, back when I was a freshman and sophomore in college, he lived next door to me. He was like the coolest guy ever. So I was like, yeah, I got to have a picture of him. His actual nickname was Hulk.